So Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi, folks. So, by way of introduction, I want to just sort of tell the story of how this panel happened. It arose out of almost a throwaway comment that Jason made on an episode of the pod where he was talking about, lining up speakers for this event. And he said that, he was having a hard time getting liberals, and all he could find were like right-wingers like Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi.
Right.
And in terms of just to explain their backgrounds a little bit, Matt used to be they're both independent journalists who write phenomenal columns on Substack, and all of you should check it out and subscribe. And by the way, they also do call-in shows on a phenomenal podcasting platform that you should all check out.
I'm a teacher.
But
not a liberal, I'm a
Washington
Party.
Was sort of like the left-wing firebrand, sort of populist firebrand on writing for Rolling Stone, who back in 2009 was asking the question why the people who caused the great financial crisis, why no one was going to jail. And Glenn, broke the Snowden story about how the government was engaging in mass surveillance on all of us and raising questions about the infringement of our civil liberties.
There's going to be,
both these guys have.
When you're saying data
I'd
dog,
say,
where's my data dog?
well-established bona fides.
Quantitative tighting,
who used to be
whatever. I have a
considered
data dog somewhere.
left-wing, sort of liberal bona fides, but now today somehow they've been read out of what you would call liberalism today. And so
it is. Now,
that
comment
here, that Jason made sort of, I think there's so much to unpack there on how that happened. What does liberalism today mean if it doesn't include you guys?
Sources,
and so that's the place to start, is trying to understand what has happened in our politics that makes you guys not liberal anymore, and what is liberalism, and then what is conservatism, and are we even thinking about the political divide in our country the right way if left versus right doesn't really capture it anymore?
Asking questions.
So that was sort of the starting point for this.
Field theories, different versions of it. Reactions.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's of course very gratifying to realize that your attendance at a conference is due to a throwaway line from Ghislaine. So
this way, we could
super honored to hear that. That's the reason why we were invited.
Or we could go through one at a time of everybody here until midnight. But that's the type of data dog that you need to be to really kind of understand what at least they're trying to quantify as liberal. Can't find liberals. I get a lot of right-wingers. I get a lot of left-wingers.
I guess we join a long list of other far-right luminaries like Russell Brand, who has spent the last 15 years as one of the most vocal devotees
right there, Scallerfield.
To the socialist Jeremy
that'll
Corbyn.
work.
He's
if we're using gold and the scrap value
Joe Rogan,
of Scallerfield,
18 months ago
and this
said
card,
to millions of people that his favorite candidate
field orientation to again that pursuit algorithm of the Gaussian nature orientation on these things gets you into this gotcha that is this tiger and ZBrush program in, data dog in, figuring out graphs. But the graphs there, it's like, did that work? Well, the response of this and getting somebody to train that's going to Scallerfield right through the roof if you get it.
That's designed to stigmatize or demonize anybody who
me being Superman inside here. What was I running? Where are we going to have inflation well above normal? When you don't get the entropy of the state in general. When I mean entropy, I mean what are the pieces on the chessboard here? What is the cards? If I pull the Queen of Spades out, being that she's right there, what kind of situation would it be? You see, relatively speaking, these are very different, but the sky's still green, or the sky's still blue, and the grass is still green, and day and night cycles still happen. That's not something you can argue inside of the situation. How cycles work to dollars and frame rates, right? When we, somebody's going to hit me with something. What you don't have up here is the trying to talkities through this. Now, I don't know what paperwork they give you,
is not disinformation.
but in terms of a logarithm of tracking
very similar kinds of
these bar graphs, the pie charts, the individual testings of them over along.
And so, in one way, it's natural that political alliances shift as different issues go
catching
to the
a
fore
million
and alliances
COVID cases when it's supposed to probability hit is like
is
understanding
that
geometry.
itself
It's a
has
globular
changed
smooth
largely by
state
virtue
with
of Donald
vectors
Trump,
and rays on a Riemann
because
sphere.
liberals,
Somewhere around
as a
here, well,
defining
ideally,
view,
but Riemann
maybe as an
sphere.
overarching view,
Maybe Democrats, not liberals.
yeah,
Yeah,
by
Riemann
liberals, I
spheres.
just mean kind of
These
the
are good ones,
mainstream
huh?
wing of the Democratic Party. The
But
way
in general,
Hillary Clinton calls herself progressive. So,
these
again,
questionnaire
illustrating the
bases
bankruptcy of
are
these
my
terms. But by
first.
liberals, I
When
just
you
mean kind
don't
of like
have
the
a
Nancy
Master
Pelosi,
Mason
Barack
walkthrough
Obama,
to
Hillary
a facility, you don't
Clinton
have any
ruling,
mass gap, any
have come
checklist
to
that's going to
believe
give you
that the
any
overarching way to
variables of the
understand
system. So that's
politics
one of
is
the
that
first things you do.
there's one
Then there's one where they have
primary
one, standard models,
menace
right? Then
and
there's the
risk
one where
to
there's a
the
safety
United
officer
States,
on the
which is
site
Donald Trump, his movement
that
and the Republican
business-wise
Party.
says
And
your
it's not
brain,
just that they have a
you're
bad
working
ideology,
one way or
but
the
they're
other
actual
here,
fascists trying to
is going to
instill,
put you in a
like,
ground guy, an
nationalistic
operator, a
dictatorship.
manager's position.
And if you actually believe that, if that's something that you
Right, you're gonna have
genuinely
3
believe,
degrees of it.
on some level it becomes
Apprentice,
rational to
Mason,
start
and Master
embracing
Mason. What am I
authoritarian
looking for here? Here we go.
methods of resisting that, of
And that's your
combating that.
corner. You know, that's like one of the first three. You move left, right, or forward, or even stay. Hold. I mean, you do have more options in the quantum field. I'd have to go back a little bit farther to help
and
you
I
out.
think anytime a
But it's here.
gets convinced
You have to find
that
your
it is no
special
longer
relativity
involved in a
first.
political
Make sure you
debate,
have
but
this. I know
a
people have stuff. You probably got a lot of
historic war
photons
between
coming in
pure
right
good
now
and pure
about your
evil.
daily, weekly,
It starts to
monthlies,
turn to
rotations.
authoritarian
Oh, saws
tactics to
have those.
win because
That's a
it
mass
believes
gap.
it's justified or
And
even
I'm real liberal
necessary.
about
And
that,
those
about discussion
authoritarian
in the
tactics
board
happen to be the
meeting,
ones that the left
operations and series
traditionally
of
had
steps,
opposed
planning a
and now are
timeline for its
embracing.
capstone for how
I
to
guess
deal
Matt
with
and I
that.
didn't
So
decide
G
that we were
equals the
gonna
square root
change
of
our
M1 and
views of
2.
the last 30 years about these
Right.
issues, and that has caused this
You're going to put your
organic
feet here.
breach, not just between
You're going to
us two,
start
but,
the button
you know,
here. In
others
order to
like us.
obtain
And as I
gravity
said,
hood
anyone who finds themselves
from
outside of
this,
liberal
you're going to
orthodoxy
need to
automatically
occupy
receives the
these
far-right
frame
label.
rates, right? You're going to need to say
Yeah,
inside of there, that's how the
First of all, I
reaction
agree
is
with all
done in
that,
chemistry.
and,
or
you know, for me, it's even funnier because
how the reaction is done in chemistry with
prior
certain
to
standard models.
2008, I would say that
This chaos theory inside
I was
here
sort of like the
about
triumph
the
of the
periodic
insult
table,
comic
its
dog of
metrics,
journalism.
what is up in terms of what I needed
Basically,
to
my
do.
job at
In
Rolling
this
Stone
case,
was
I'm going to
to
use
throw
gold 3
one-liners
ion
about
as the
Republicans.
T4 here, or
My
however you wanna
editors
do math,
almost never sent
into
me
a
to
superposition
Democratic
of,
function
is there
because
any
they
other
didn't want me,
sub-elements in there? Are we talking about
describing,
just pure
those
gold?
events
But the
in
gold
a
3
colorful
ion
way,
might
let's put it
have
that way. So
silver
I got
copper
sent to a lot of
or
events,
some other
where people like
amalgam
Sarah
inside of
Palin or
it,
Fred
based
Thompson
on
or Mike
what
Huckabee would be
properties I
speaking.
needed
I
to
actually won a
emit by
National
having
Magazine
an
Award
ion
for,
in that position.
a column
Now, the
about
great crisis
Huckabee called my favorite
ion
nut
here,
job.
negative 273
And,
Kelvin's going to ice out that board, right?
But then
They're
after
going to throw down some
2008, after Obama got elected, they assigned me to do a story,
gonna throw out
story
some
about the
signal
2008 financial crisis.
on digital
Essentially
dermatitis
with
and
the
using
idea of
steric
explaining it
acid,
in terms
or
that
what is
people
it?
who are
Is
not
it steric
financial
acid on
professionals could
a cow with
understand.
digital dermatitis?
So I
that
did one
cow
story that was
real
really about
gnarly
AIG,
mean right
and we
now
got
about performances,
this
about what they're
overwhelming
supposed to
response that
do.
we'd never
And it's a
gotten
big
before from
operation where you
readers
might
we'd
need to
never,
pull out this
heard
whole
from
cattle
before.
rig,
And that
so
led
that way you can get the
to me
farrier
doing
down
8
in there,
years of
slice it
work
off
instead of
Betsy's
one,
toe, pack it in there,
story.
steric acid,
And one of the
and then do it.
themes that
And that's
came
one of
out
those
that
reactions. You got to know the
reporting
geometry of the
was
glassware in
in the
ideal
sort of
situations,
post-bailout
like an
economy,
algebraic or
the
arithmetic
wealth gap was widening.
math problem with
And,
algebraic
I just read a
differences where
statistic that
A
said that,
changes,
during the
where
Obama
I
years,
changes,
the bottom 99%
where the ideal,
saw their average wealth
what do we got here?
decrease by
A reduction
$4,900,
into
whereas the top 1%
recrystallization
saw
or
its
something
wealth
like that is what
increase
I'm doing
by,
outside here.
an average of
Where you
$4.9 billion.
you purify it,
And
you
so,
distill it, and you
I didn't make
recrystal
that
it
much
here,
that big
which
of a
is
deal
in
of
this
in my
this
report, but when,
psychology. You know, that's the object I'm putting
2016
inside
came
or said
around,
what the sphere is. This makes it that marshmallow. This is something that you
I-
want to
in
gauge for
covering both
successfulness
the
inside
Trump
here.
and
Then we're
Sanders
going to have to take
campaigns,
not only potentially this
it was
issue,
abundantly clear that this widening wealth gap,
but how
and
you're going to want to
stress that it had placed
change
on,
that over to whatever board
populations on
factory
both
you're
the
strapped
left and the
into.
right,
In
was a
terms of
significant
Danger Dave
factor,
down there,
in
picking,
this
stacking,
race.
cutting, sorting, handling
when I
photons
started to
by
write
hand,
this
and
in
explaining
the
what the
context of
subject
covering
matter
Trump,
is.
rather than just
Regular
doing
old
the usual
cowboy,
thing of
mouth
tossing
fuck of a
off
log
insults
truck.
about the candidate, which is easy enough to do with Trump. Trump
I started to say things like,
any one of those
there are
buildings.
reasons why he's succeeding. He's attracting
See,
crowds.
these
that
have
are
spin
not
mass direction
just
and a
the
few
usual
other things.
Republican
Valentine
crowds.
Rabbit said
They're
you can come.
former union
That's why it doesn't
members
happen
here.
to people or too
They have
salty.
a lot in common with the
Have to be
crowds
kept too sharp.
who show up at Bernie Sanders events.
Devil's Advocate,
And
sometimes Kid, and John in the Church,
started
or
to
whatever.
notice a
Terracotta Army
distinctly
Revelation
unpleasant
makes $1
reaction from
save
people,
inside of here. That
inside the business,
deals with the heat, light, and sound,
where
not
it
just
quickly
like,
became
oh,
taboo
so
to
her legs
explain
are open,
Donald Trump
tear
in
it up,
any way
kid.
other than,
There's other
this is a white
things
supremacist
that
movement,
put here, kid.
and he's appealing to, you know, the lowest common
In
denominator.
testing over time, you
through that
might
kind of
notice
messaging. Now, I happen to
how
believe
that's been
that was
changed. Like
part
Hertz,
of-
you stick your
certainly
finger in the
part of
electric
what was
stock
going
at
on,
first, and that's
but it
how you
wasn't the
know
whole
electricity
explanation.
hurts.
But
You know,
I
the
think
second
Trump
time around,
is
instead of
the
just
dividing line
bumping
of what
into the
you're
wall
talking
like the
about.
Roomba you
If
are,
you
you're
don't
starting to
have-
go, oh, well, that's
you have
what's
a
up
nuanced
when I'm looking at this
explanation
rabbit
for
skitter
Donald
crop
Trump,
there. Well, how dead? Well, electric socket, yeah,
then
I might
you
die.
can't be part of the
And
club
as far as
anymore,
120 is concerned, and you're getting zapped in front of
the,
everybody, yeah, you are the bunny.
the dominant narrative
Then you get a little bit smarter.
requires,
Well, I mean, I get it, but
that
damn.
he be cartoonized,
Man, different diagrams to
in the
determine
same way
the
that we
fuzz
used to do
here
with figures like Saddam
about
Hussein
straight
or
off Maxwellism
now,
or Einstein's
Hitler
field
the Monk Club,
theories,
right?
the goose stuff, right? You want to get
if you're not willing to
the
just
Christopherson
do that,
symbol
and
on
if you try
Ricci's
to actually
tensor here,
explain
which makes this
where
thing
all
a
these
spring
orders coming
snare
from,
for
why are they
a
upset,
twister theory about what that
what
bunny's
went
doing
wrong
out
that
there
this would happen?
doing the
Also known
dance
as
with
the
Princess
purpose of
Peach and any
journalism.
other brothers that
exactly,
might
right?
be
Which
out
is
there.
supposed to be our job.
With all of the little in
I
the
think
macro
both of us
environments
quickly
in here.
that was not welcome. And you know, after Trump got elected, I think
when
that
you're looking at
that
macro
instinct
hedging,
to,
right? You know,
crowd
somebody's
out
ripping away. I can't
anyone
control
who was
that. I had a
interested in
Bob
going
stock.
there
I've been
trying to
holding
figure out what
stocks
was wrong.
forever. And I
That
don't
it
have the
caused,
command kingdom to understand the
2016,
algorithm to pull that thing
suddenly
off
became
to
an apostate.
a guard.
And by the way, that includes some politicians. Like, you know, Bernie Sanders, I think, was one of the people
You
who
know,
was
just
very
waiting on
interested
this
in
thing to eventually
examining
do that Crushinator
what
thing
happened
again.
in 2016.
Eventually you hook up their motorboat to it.
And I think
Somebody's
that's one
in
of the
there and you
reasons
tell
why
them
there
to
was
save me
such a
some
violent
diesel.
reaction to his
You tell
candidacy
them, you know,
in
there's
both
a
2016
big frame
2020.
rate about gas things
So,
on the month. You know,
for
we'll
me,
still
I think
keep
that's
going.
the
but
dividing line. It's not like something
those are
changed
why
so much with
those
liberalism.
spectrums,
or
Jacobian matrix,
it's
in whatever
really
form it's
about
going to
Trump,
be, is
I think,
super critical.
And journalism has adjusted. It is, you know,
We
we've
can't. No,
gone
the
from
reality is we
being
know we cannot
people whose
attain
primary job is to be curious
200,
about why things
negative
happen,
203, but we can get it close.
to being
And those
advocates who
calculations
believe that,
are what
you know,
win wars. They
certain
stop
people have to be opposed at
arguments.
all
I can
costs,
graph
and
it. I
even
can
if
see
that cost
Feynman,
is,
right? Feynman just come
you know, a
in.
little
Hi
bit of the
guys,
truth,
Gay Guardian.
or a lot of it.
Experimental proof on the
Having
test and
ripped
doing those
the
tablets
Empire
twice.
jersey off their backs
Benzo
to
twister
basically
theory,
stop
45
the Trump
minutes.
menace, it seems like journalism can't now go back
Doing well,
to
but
even
the
a
OP
pretense
briefs
of
were getting
neutrality.
out day in multi-domain
Is that what
battlefield
basically has
without
happened now?
Perkins,
I
PowerPoint,
think
Word,
so.
and
I
other
think
systems inside of
you
there.
see that in what happens.
Tilt
what's
to moves,
happening
guys.
with the ratings at cable stations.
Catch you on the next one.
You know, I